Damn, son, where'd you find this? This is a certified hood classic. Trapaholics mixtapes.
Trapaholics, real trap shit.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Trapaholics, bitch. What, you ain't know? Real trap shit?
This is trap music, bitch.
Trapaholics, bitch. Trapaholics mixtapes. Trapaholics mixtapes.
Oh, baby. baby. Well, we're back once again. It's a nice little Monday here, starting off with some Trapaholics remix. If you know what that reference is from, well, we'd probably be very, very good friends about 15 years ago, but no longer. We are much different now. We've grown up and matured. We are now real people in the real world, doing real things, I think, at least, like real trap shit. Anyways, many things to be speaking about today as we do, once again, revisit the bounce idea from the past week. I am still looking at more or less the same thing, but as the picture has evolved, well, it does look like the lower term timeframes are going to fulfill perhaps the area that we were looking at first on last week's video on Friday. And then, yes, indeed, if there is going to be a bounce, I do believe that is coming probably likely after that. So we're kind of in the dog days right now of December, because Bitcoin, I mean, it's been pretty fucking boring, man. Like, I totally get it. When I look at my YouTube metrics, almost no one's interested in this right now. And look, I can't blame no one, because I mean, realistically, Bitcoin's been operating within it's realistically been about a $8,000 range. But that feels so small now, just based off of the very, 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 very massive range that we've seen in the not so distant past. So ultimately, it's one of those boring times. I look at these as good times. A lot of the best positions are had during these times, ultimately. And I am still looking at traditional marks as investable, more or less. And actually, let's go check out some traditional marks before we get into this one. What's up, John? Play some SoFi Ripper Diff. Yes, that is a ticker. Yes, we can play the Ripper Dip with that. What's up, Cave Caretaker? Good to see you, man. And Matthew Smead, our most favorite of hexers of all time, Mr. Van Duysen. I am very much taking your initiative under my wing, and I will be doing a Dawnless Days campaign. Absolutely, okay. Abso-fucking-lutely, especially if they do have some of my favorite factions as playable. But first things first, I need to learn how to fucking download that mod. For whatever reason, that mod is not available in the usual sort of venues that you kind of get it. So it is a massive undertaking, unfortunately. But I have good news. My computer certainly can run Attila, even though it is very massively under-optimized. But that should be good enough for some very, 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 very fun streams, man. So I'm looking to get back into gaming. I've just had so much fucking fun with that, man. But ultimately, right now, I am still, and for the very foreseeable future, will be continuing to set up. So perhaps I'll sacrifice one day to the gaming gods. But until then, we'll just keep it to the trading streams. What's up, Asti? Good morning to you as well. The Trapaholics. No, I think it's the Trapaholics, indeed. Godblood, good morning to you, ma'am. Hondo Poncho, yes, indeed. We are old, man. We are old now. Biff the Bull, good morning. G Unit, PKM, Darren. My contractor's name is Darren, actually. Much hate, Krong, says Matthew Smead. Yes, much hate to everyone out there in the world. We have too much love. We need to balance it out with some hate. We need to balance the light side with the dark side so that you get into the middle with the gray Jedis like Kreia. And then you can have the true powers of the Force. Like Revan? I think Revan did that. Anyways, no one knows what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Just spouting off some random nerd facts. Let's go look at some traditional markets as this week does open up. A slight down open for NASDAQ and SPY futures. Looking like, hold on, let's go to the weekly right here. Looking like we will get that pullback into probably the 25,400-ish region that I alluded to on yesterday's video. Again, I'm just not bearish on traditional markets until you're back down below last week's low. And again, that's not even the proper terminology for that. It's not bearish. I mean, it would just be a greater pullback, very likely underway. But until that happens, I'm just looking at this as kind of doing what traditional markets do, which is trudging their way up and to the right, sideways and up and to the right, basically. In this case, the lower term timeframes, I mean, yeah, a little bit of a pullback here is fine, but you do still have an uptrend, especially as long as you're above 25,420, a great number, even on the lower term timeframes. And of course, like I said, the big one is last week's low, as long as you're above there. I'm just looking at any sort of a pullback as a pullback before likely a test of all-time highs, maybe even new all-time highs in this month of December. And I would think at latest probably January. I actually do think that we're very, 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 very much inbound for something like that. SPY futures, basically the same chart over here, same sort of setup as well. And if we go down to the daily time frame, I'm just not concerned about this at all as long as you're above about 6,800. In the short term, though, can you get a pullback to intraday here? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming back down to 68, 38 is completely fine. Probably even very likely at this point too, but that still would be a corrective higher low. So not really anything, not really much to update from yesterday's video to today. I see Chris Dungeon is talking about Dixie saying risk off. Dixie is saying risk off? No. I fucking hate it when people pose a question like this. Is it this? No. It's like, just ask the fucking question instead of just saying something negative at the end. I don't know what it is. It's my issue. I've said this for many years, but it is still my issue and I can't get over it. It's just fucking weird when someone asks a question like that, even though, you know, I guess it's not like that crazy. But yeah, looking at Dixie over here, is it risk off? I mean, first off, we have to ask ourselves, has Dixie even been indicative of risk on or risk off in the, I guess in the more recent future? Say what? Oh, pin your message. All right, post your message. How about that? Yes, we got some spammers and bonkers. We need to replace that pinned message, but you know, basically it's been straight down since 2025, but it also rallied all throughout 2024. You know, I just think people focusing on a chart like this are just completely, you know, focused on something that sounds and looks smart, but it doesn't actually get the fucking job done. If it was rallying from September 2024 all the way to the beginning of 2025, well, guess what? That was a bullish time for Bitcoin. That was a bullish time for markets in general. And if you would have read this chart as the typical way to read it, you would have missed that, obviously. And yes, when it did top in 2025 and come down, we actually saw some pretty severe corrections during this year, you know, during April and in February. And both of these times, you know, Bitcoin did have some major pullbacks. So just looking at this, I think is a complete fucking fallacy, similar to Bitcoin dominance. It's like all these fools, in my opinion, who are focused on Bitcoin dominance just miss the whole fucking game. It's like, great, Bitcoin dominance is going down, but all my shitcoins continue to go down as well. Fucking amazing. Great. I'm glad that Bitcoin dominance is really coming down. Must be alt season. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. If you can't get anything else right, at least you can get Bitcoin dominance right, because the trend on it is clear. You know, the direction on it is clear. It's just the implication of what it means for your favorite shitcoins is very unclear, unfortunately. So yeah, man, that's kind of my rant for the day, I guess. But ultimately, my point here is that these charts are as always never going to be as accurate as the actual chart that you're interested in. Look, if you're interested in Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin versus the dollar. If you're interested in some random shitcoin, look at the shitcoin versus the dollar, or better yet, versus Bitcoin. And look, if it looks bullish, that's great. It probably is good. If it looks bearish, it's probably fucking bearish. Probably fucking bearish. I wouldn't just look at Dixie and be like, yeah, this one looks really bearish and I should be bullish on Bitcoin if Bitcoin looks bearish as fuck, and vice versa. It just doesn't. These things don't matter as much as people make them out to be. And on top of that, Dixie is a massively misunderstood chart to begin with, because it is not the actual dollar's strength versus assets. It's the dollar's strength versus other fiat currencies. Very big differential right there. Very fucking big difference. A basket of other currencies mainly consisting of the euro. So what does it really mean? It means which currency is weaker versus the other currency. It's not versus other assets. They're all weakening versus other assets realistically over time. So, you know, don't get caught up in my take is don't get caught up in this game, because it's going to lead you astray more often than not. Just look at your favorite fucking shitcoin versus the dollar. It'll be that simple if you want to decide if you're bullish or bearish, in my humble opinion. Anyways, it's because they base so much on previous cycles. There is good reason to believe previous cycles, but there's nothing about previous cycles that has anything to do with this over here. I mean, again, the actual calculation of this chart is just not related to that. It's not related to that. But of course, you know, using past history as a guide for future is certainly very much worthwhile. I mean, shit, that's what that's what pretty much anyone is doing in this game. That's what anyone is doing in the investing game as well. But as far as these charts, I guess the idea here, probably what you're alluding to, is that, hey, they worked in the past, so they should work in the future. And I would argue that they didn't even really work that well in the past anyways. These were just things that people could focus on because they couldn't figure out other more important and meaningful shit, but this was a lot easier. That's just my humble take, despite being really fucking rude to some other people out there. Very nice. Including the kroner. Is it in the? I don't think the kroner is included in the basket of currencies versus Dixie, but I could be wrong on that. I do know it's mainly the euro, then the yen, and probably the Swiss franc, and I don't know, maybe the kroner's in there, but I'd be quite surprised. It must be a very, 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 very small portion. But yeah, man. Anyways, let's see what else we got in traditional markets here. Actually, let's go look at Bitcoin ETFs. Are we seeing anything unique here that is not on Bitcoin spot? And not necessarily. I mean, this would be a little bit more of a bearish chart overall. If I'm looking at this chart, I'm like, is this thing even going to bounce? And I would say no. I mean, this is obviously a bear flag right here. But when I look at Bitcoin spot, I do think that, yeah, this is, we're still likely to bounce before seeing any significant new lows. But yeah, if I'm just going off of this chart, yeah, you do got a bear flag right here, and the top of your bear flag is basically in alignment with that yellow 21 EMA. So that's a pretty technical read on this one. And if you do break and close below about 48.80, well, then we have a measured move to be had all the way down to significantly new lows. In fact, the same lows as we saw in April of this year. So that would be Bitcoin down to about what, 74-ish, somewhere around there. I guess it's it certainly is a risk. It's not what I think is most likely to happen, but hey, that is the risk if Bitcoin fails to really continue the bounce here more or less above last Friday's high. If I guess if it can't reclaim that, within probably this week, then perhaps we are in for a move like that. And well, so does life go on. Anyways, what else we have over here? I was wrong. Jezebel's Hungry says, I was wrong as usual. It's the euro, yen. Yes, I knew that. Yes, then the pound, then the Canadian shitcoin, then Swiss franc. Yep, we got that one as well. Oh, and Swedish krona. Okay, so yeah, it is in there. So it can't be that bad. I am surprised to see it in there, to be honest. But yeah, I guess that's one thing that Sweden has done right. It's just not get on the fucking euro and, keep their own currency. But that's among the few things that perhaps they have done right, from what I hear. I've never been there myself, but I've heard a lot of people not talk greatly about Sweden in recent times. In past times, yeah, absolutely. But in recent times, I've not heard too many good things that have made me want to go. But hey, as always, I haven't been there, so I'm just talking out of my Angus right now. Maybe it's amazing. Let's go check out Tether Dominance really quick too before we get into the depth of this video. And we're still not getting like a major breakout confirmation. That still requires a closure above these highs here, but we're also not getting a rejection of what likely is a breakout. So that is still going to be below last week's low on a weekly closing basis. Thus far, it is using the red 5 to bounce off of. So I'm looking at this as still a good basing point. This is a bearish signal overall. So maybe I am being a little bit silly by looking for a bounce here. I guess this would be my greatest counterpoint to what I'm stating there. Let's see what the monthly and then the quarterly looks like. Yeah, monthly still going to have a bullish bias right there, as does the quarterly. And what about the yearly? Or is this chart even going to be relevant? 6-month time frame. Can't make much out of that. Yearly time frame. I don't really have a strong opinion on the yearly time frame, I guess. So have to go back to the weekly. This one's the one that's obvious, and basically you could use last week's high and lows as continuation or reversal points. The reversal point would be last week's low. The continuation point would be last week's high. Whichever side you see get taken out first, even by probably a tick, is likely going to be the next major direction. And being that we do already see a bounce off that red 5 EMA, the bias has to be on upside continuation, I do expect. But I guess time shall tell, because other timeframes are still more or less inconclusive or slightly favoring the upside, but not super emphatically as of right now. I'm curious to see what else we got going on over here. Let's go check out some gold action. Some 4,200. We were looking for a pullback over this weekend to emerge into this next week or two. I'm still feeling pretty confident on that. Does it grind up against these highs at 42.65 a few more times? Possible, yes. But ultimately, I'm looking at this one as likely to come back down and set in a higher low. I'm not bearish on this. Just, come back down for a higher low and then try again to the upside later on. We're seeing stochastic momentum turn down freshly on the daily time frame. So not anything super, super crazy. But yeah, a bit of a pullback in the short term, likely, and then low volatility over here represented by the BBWP indicator. So, again, I think it's going to continue to consolidate a little bit more. It is very likely going to resolve bullishly, though. That is the main point I do want to be having here. Let's go look at gold versus Bitcoin, or I guess that's an inverted statement because it's actually Bitcoin versus gold. Coming back down to the September of 2024 lows, again, it's like you're likely to get a pity bounce around this region, especially around a major moving average like this, the 200 simple, and also a little bit above that blue 377 EMA on the weekly time frame. Very high term time frames here, but this is a breakdown, and so I do think that just like Bitcoin spot, you're very likely gonna get a bounce here, but it's kind of losing its luster, man. It's back down at moving averages that it hasn't seen since, 2022 and 2023. And in past previous bear markets, maybe we are further along in this market cycle than what I consider, but that is rather interesting to me. It is at similar moving averages that we've seen in prior macro cycle lows. Very bizarre. I would have not expected that at all. In fact, obviously spot price action, versus the US dollar is nowhere near these sort of numbers right now. Those are in I think they have like a 5 or 6 handle, at least for the 200 simple on the weekly. But versus gold, which some people would argue is the actual denominator, I guess we're kind of already there, which is kind of crazy. Anyways, what else do we have here before we move on into some actual Bitcoin's price action analysis? Maybe check out some Coinbase. I forgot to fill up my water, so that's going to be an issue later on. I know you can, but now it's much further away. Anyways, I don't know. What are we looking at here? Do I have any like super strong opinions on this? I mean, the breakdown already happened. This one kind of like Bitcoin, likely to bounce here to 300. Got pretty damn close last week, I think, 284.25 off of the lows at 255. I don't know. Do I look for it to bounce a little bit higher? Is this the high of the bounce? I guess find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. I'm not so sure about this one either. What else do we have? What other things can we pick up before we get in some Bitcoins? I see fart coins rallying up. Amazing. 40 cents again. Incredible news for the fart coin hodlers out there in the world. I don't know why I still have this one's still on my list. Kind of silly thing to be having, but for some reason I've been watching, even though I would never touch this with a 10-foot fucking pole. But yeah, I can only be so redacted. What else do we have? What else should we look at very quickly before we get some Bitcoins? Maybe some comments, and then we'll go over to some Bitcoins. Let's see. Does feel like the world is going to pivot to an alternative reserve currency? Probably will take a few decades. I mean, I think it's possible, but it's, like you, I think that these things would take a lot of time. Before I'd say it's probably not possible, but if the world economic situation does collapse, or the world economic order does collapse, then a neutral reserve currency does make sense. I mean, why not Bitcoin? I guess gold still makes more sense, though. It's just people are more comfortable with it. But, I could see Bitcoin taking that role, or at least a part of that role, like a small portion of that role. I don't think it would be at 100%. I don't think it's going to completely replace gold, unfortunately, in our lifetimes. But, if it takes even like 10%, which actually that's kind of what it is right now, then that seems pretty good, pretty good. I'm happy with that. Some Tesla hopium. Do we have Tesla hopium? I don't know. I'm still holding long. I haven't checked on it this week though. Let's see. Down about almost 4%. Ooh, and having a pretty sizable pullback there on the daily, but this is just a pullback down to that red 5 EMA on the weekly. Again, I don't have any major risks with this. I'm just bullish as long as you're above that November low. If it does want to put in a higher low at $400, that's completely fine by me. And shit, if it bounced off that 5 EMA at 433, even better. But I still think that this one's kind of in a posture here to break out. This is a beautiful uptrend, and that next higher low right at 390 is, in my opinion, a really, really good sign that this one will inevitably be breaking out to the upside, or at least the bias is significantly to the upside on a breakout. I mean, look at the quarterly right here. This is good. This is fucking good. I mean, if we drew out a few of these LARP lines right here, we have more or less an ascending triangle, and that's going to have a measure move, just kind of eyeballing this one. What is that? 400 the upside versus like almost 200 the downside. So $200 differential. So I don't know, 600 plus. Maybe that comes at some point in 2026. But yeah. I mean, in my opinion, still looking good. Just in the short term, a bit of a pullback. That's okay. Dance Monkey Boy. How about you? Huh? How about you? Jesus. Anyways, let's see what I have written on my notes. And let's start it off, as always, with some good old price action statistics. Bitcoin, once again, playing beautifully off of the top end of that price action statistics range high here, which was 92,500 or so, coming down now more than $2,000 from that number. Again, I want to restate that if you are using this as a scalping tool, $2,000 on a scalping bounce is certainly an outlier. I mean, it's not necessarily an outlier, but it is more than what I would usually bat for. You don't need to fucking be hitting these home runs in order to be making a shit ton of money. You just need to be consistent with this. By the way, on Saturday and Sunday, you saw nearly both the sides of these tested in a scalpable way as well. I mean, it's just amazing the amount of opportunities that this one gives up, just like the price action pivots indicator, if you are that sort of short-term or intraday scalper. But in this case, you are trading on the same side, or you would have been trading on the same side as current trends. So if you are going to go for, I guess, more of the home run, which I certainly would not suggest, but if you ever are going to have a chance at those, multi-$1,000, in this case, scalps, it is going to be undoubtedly on the same side of the current trend. And the current trend is still to the downside. So this one testing up to the top side of the average returns range high well, guess what? You're going to, that is the kind that is, likely to have a big move in that, in the other direction. And hey, if Bitcoin does get down to the average low here, which would be 88,700, then I would be looking for a bounce again on the first pass. On the second pass, not so much. And certainly I wouldn't be getting greedy on the bottom side test if it does get there, because like I said, that is going to be against the overall trend. So that scalping opportunity got to be real fucking quick and got to be not greedy. Although yes, sometimes it will go massively in your favor. So don't hate me too much if that happens. But this is just what I've observed after many aeons of watching this. And I just realized that the coupon code for our Black Friday sale is still there, but it is not. It no longer exists. There's no longer a sale ever again, at least for all of this year. What did you say? Elsa says, uh-oh. Anyways, I'm going to take a sip of this caffeine. I finally found some cold espresso to buy here, but it's Starbucks, and I think it feels pretty clean, but it also tastes a little bit bizarre. The one that I really like is Bizzy. It's Bizzy, I think. That one's really good, and it tastes pure, man, real fucking pure. Anyways, moving on from there, let's go over the short term for Bitcoin, just kind of carrying on from last week's analysis. Let me see if I still got my LARP lines and my cave drawings over here. But yeah, the top side of this formation is still at around 93,800. As long as Bitcoin's below there, there's no breakout to the upside. There's no sort of, deep rally close to $100,000, probably even exceeding a little bit in $100,000 to be had as actionable. And of course, to the downside, I'm still looking at this rising trend line here as a good governor for higher lows within this formation. So if Bitcoin does come back down here, which it is looking like it probably does at some point in this week, I'd be keeping a keen eye on about $87,000 or around there, give or take a few $100. That's where we'd be expecting a higher low if Bitcoin is going to indeed carry out a Santa rally bounce, bringing all these fucking girthy green dildos in Santa's bag. And I saw like a crazy amount of Santa related or Christmas related shit yesterday. There was like this whole neighborhood that's just done up in Christmas lights. It's actually insane. It's actually overwhelming. Anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about that right now, but it was quite enlightening. I'll put it this way. Anyway, and also a good pun. I didn't even realize. Quite enlightening. Yes, there are a lot of Christmas lights. But yeah, if Bitcoin does come down around here and you do see a bounce at $87,000, I think that's a really good sign that we are going to see this play out as an ascending triangle. And if it does, then the important part about this is that with confirmation above 93,800 on even, a 12-hour or especially a daily time frame, there is an implied move all the way up north of $100,000, about 103 or so. So do be aware of that, because if we do see a closure above that region, that is nearly a $10,000 move from that point. So I look at that as very actionable. And personally, while I don't necessarily want to play an upside breakout, personally, I would like to, however, sell a call spread. If you recall, again, dumb puns over here, but where's my thing? Yeah, if you recall, I did sell the put spread from about a couple of weeks ago now. This one's going pretty well. Where is my strategy builder? I think I just still have it in there. So again, this position right here, I'm quite happy with. If you can actually see it, you can't see the bottom of it. That sucks. Let's do it like this. Okay, it's not going to show you the P&L graph there as well. Anyways, I'll just move this portion up there. Now you can see it. So this position right here, selling this put spread, is giving me a profit of 29,300, just as long as Bitcoin closes above $80,000 by the end of December, or if you want to be super exact, December 26th. So Elsa's birthday, or one day after Xmas. But for right now, this position working quite well. But what I'm looking to do is that if Bitcoin rallies up again to, let's say, like 98, 99, 100 especially, I want to sell the 105 call strike. So let's actually see what those are trading for right now. Let's see. What are they trading for right now? They're probably not going to have much premium at all, but let's see. 105 call strike is trading for $340. I would imagine if Bitcoin gets up to, 99 or 100, it should be more like 3,000. But that would need to happen soon for these things to have any real value in their premium. So we'll see. If Bitcoin fails to rally this week, like by Friday, I probably will start to sell some out of the money calls. But for right now, I'll still hold tight, hoping and praying for that rally, because I don't like getting super entangled in complicated options positions. When it's not like a really obvious winner, which in my opinion, that would be kind of an obvious winner. But again, that's just my opinion. I can be wrong on that. hopefully I am wrong and Bitcoin just rallies to the moon and beyond. But again, I would be betting on not, a moon rally before end of this year, basically, or maybe to $100,000, but, kind of backs off from there at most. There we go. All right, moving on from there. I do want to go back into the HPDR setup, or actually before we go into the HPDR setup, let's go over stochastic momentum here for Bitcoin. We do have a few updates with that. Of course, daily time frame is going to continue up here on CME as long as Bitcoin's above 84,750. So a lot of wiggle room right there. The 2-day time frame is also working its way up as long as Bitcoin's above 85,700. The 3-day time frame is also working its way up as long as Bitcoin's above 83,100. The 5-day time frame is close to having its first fresh cross. Or sorry, actually, no, it's not. Yes, this one's going to update later tonight. So this current period ends tonight. Right now, it's pivoted at $94,000. I don't think it's going to reclaim that tonight, but it should change around significantly on this next period. If we look at Bitcoin spot on the 5-day, it already is. And in fact, that pivot went down significantly below $84,000. So we're seeing the daily, the 2-day, the 3-day, the 5-day all align with each other. For me, that's a pretty good sign that I just don't want to be betting on significant downside from here without a decent bounce first. So I'm still going to lean into the bounce idea. The 8-day time frame in a similar position here as well. Current pivot is $93,000, so that is within striking range, and that one gets another update in 2 days. The 10-day time frame also, well, no, this one's very far away. Sorry, this one's around 102. This one will update in about 8 days, so that one's not changed around, or at least I wouldn't be betting on it right now. Maybe on the period to follow that. Then of course we got the bi-weekly and above. These ones are all going to be straight down still. Here's your bi-weekly pivoted at 116. Again, higher term timeframes to say that whatever upside move we get here is probably going to be a bull trap, to be honest with you. Here's your 3-week time frame. 116,300 is again that pivot. So very, 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 very far away from current price action. Monthly time frame is pivoted at 121,250. Again, just unlikely, I would say, before end of month. And the 3-month time frame is having its first fresh cross to the downside. If Bitcoin finishes this month, December, below 106,000 US dollars. So, higher term time frames do say that whatever bounce we get here is likely to be just that, a bounce before heading lower. But hey, when I see the daily, the 2-day, the 3-day, the 5-day, and perhaps even the 8-day aligning with each other, I do think that there's decent room for a bit of a bounce here. But again, that is more or less contingent upon Bitcoin's ability to close above 93,800. What the hell is going on over here? I got so many fucking texts. I have a washer and dryer coming today. Holy shit, I'm so excited. I'm actually so excited right now. Oh my God, guys, you have no idea what it's like not to have a washer and dryer. It smells like fucking dirty clothes is what it smells like. But yeah, anyways, finally getting that a little bit later today, assuming no more major issues. But yeah, in this case right here, I also do want to go over, what does this look like if Bitcoin breaks out to the downside? How would I declare a downside breakout? Well, we need to see a closure below the November 29th low of about 83,871 on the index. If that does happen, we could apply that the implied move down to about $77,000, more or less around those lows from April of this year. So just be aware of this, because if there is always a non-zero probability that it can break in the other direction. And at that point, the risk is down to 77. At that point, I'll actually have to make some moves on those option trades. I'm actually kind of considering doing it right now. Just because, that's a lot. That's a lot of premium to give away at this point, but I'll hold it for the time being. There's plenty of room for error, at least for me in this particular instance. Anyways, other than that, let's go back to the HPDR setup, because this one also does imply that we're likely to get a bounce here before any sort of major continuation to new lows, if it's going to happen at all, in fact. But we saw that the 5-day HPDR has updated since we last spoke, and Bitcoin is significantly far away from that median, getting all the way down to the 77.6 low range of historic returns. And we have now witnessed the beginning of volatility contraction with the BBWP indicator on the 5-day time frame coming down from 95 percentile all the way down to 79 percentile right now. And more importantly, it does have a negative slope and is below the moving average here. So what does that imply to me? It implies to me that Bitcoin is going to test that median before closing below the November lows. The November lows are 80,500. The median right now is 106 and change. This will not happen on this period, I suspect. I mean, it's possible, but in my opinion, it's probably unlikely. But maybe the next period after that, when this adjusts even lower, I would imagine it's going to adjust somewhere around 97 and 98 to 99. At that point, I think you likely will get your test. And then it's anyone's game. At that point, it's very possible that we actually do see, a continuation of this downside move. But I'd be waiting for at least that before getting potentially bearish. And I'd want to reassess the picture, if and when that does happen. I mean, it's always possible that Bitcoin just does a fucking Bitcoin thing and boosts on to new all-time highs. I would love that. I'd be very, very happy. But at the same time, I do want to be realistic and respect the overall trend right here, because as long as Bitcoin is not above, it's certainly well below 107,500, this lower high here from the 11th of November, it's a downtrend. It's a fucking downtrend. It's a fucking downtrend, and the trend is your friend, unfortunately, in this case, for the Bitcoin laws out there in the world. Anyways, other than that, I think we pretty much hit what I wanted to speak about on the old coins there. Go take a quick look at quantum wave bands. I was showing someone earlier how this thing did in 2022 during the bear market for just that year. Basically, when it is a bear market, a strategy like this, which is a long only strategy, is there to spin its wheels and just make sure that you don't fucking lose all of your account's equity. It made a small gain from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, as it finished out the bear market. But I would consider this a win just for, not losing account equity. And yeah, gaining a little bit right there. Again, black code is gone. We are no longer blacked. We are now redded. No, we're not white now. We're redded. It's Christmas, okay? Black was for Black Friday. Like, seriously, Elsa, does everything have to be fucking racialist to you? It's disgusting. I mean, imagine this. Like, you get married to someone who's so immature that makes jokes related to their skin color. What kind of person would do this? Anyways, we don't do any jokes here. We didn't do anything like that. We're just a bunch of charting homos. Anyways, so again, this thing actually did take its profit finally, did give up about $4,000 of that price action profit there, and is back in along again here. Huh, interesting. See how that affected the equity curve if we actually include all of the data. Reset at chart session. Yeah, digging its way back up. Perhaps that is the next higher low. But again, a reminder, if you use the quantum wave bands, personally, I would suggest to also incorporate your own technical know-how, because in many cases you will get better entries and exits, but this thing is really, 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 really good at alerting you to high probability setups and bias for direction. But yeah, I mean, giving up about $4,000 on price action right there is, that in my opinion does kind of hurt. But we shall see. We shall see. You got to trust in these stats over a long period of time. That is what the whole game is about anyways. And then other than that, we got the 5-day 5 EMA set up over here, but it has not fired off just yet, unfortunately, for the laws. That one is now coming down to 90,750. We need to see a 5-day closure above that, which we will get another one in 3 days from now. So Thursday, that will be a point of contention if Bitcoin can actually close above that number or not. If it can, that would also be a good indication that Bitcoin is ready to bounce it up. It's ready to bounce it. Yes, we like bounces, bouncing boobies. Anyways, let's go see what the super chats have brought. I realize I'm actually not even on Discord to see what else is posted. So one moment, let's get back over here. A lot of super chats already, kind of crazy, man. Let's see, we got Inertia first. He's looking at ZM long term. I'm guessing this is futures for something rather, or this is Zoom. For some reason I had it in my mind it's soybean futures, but maybe you actually do mean Zoom. Fucking soy boy. Bunch of fucking soys around here, sucking each other off, bunch of fucking soys. Long term, hate it. Short term, it does look like a reversal. 1, 2, 3 higher lows, back around the range highs. I think that this actually is going to reverse. So, on something like this, this is likely a monthly breakout. And I'd generally be looking towards that green 55 EMA, which is about 110 to 115. That's also around your prior range highs from about, July of 2022. So I do think you are going to see a move somewhere around there to like the shallow 100s. Does it actually complete like a real reversal from there and, have a massive shot up to fucking 200 plus? That's a question I don't want to answer right now because I don't fucking know, but I do think that you have a pretty decent rally in hand here. The reversal is real. You got plenty of signs for hidden bullish divergence, and you got the most important sign, which is just a bunch of higher lows. So I'd be looking for this thing to carry upwards and onwards from here. And again, you have a super easy invalidation to get bearish on this thing. You just have to come back down below that November low of about 77 and 42. Below there, yeah, big fucking problems. Until then, the direction is up and to the right, my man. Satoshi Nakamoto. Holy shit, it's him! I'm always waiting, and I'm alive and will hold on. Wait, what? You're always waiting? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to sell? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
I would also like to know that. Rivera Carr says, love your channel. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I jam out to your intro while working in the morning. Fuck yeah, man. Also love the dill, dough, and regard jokes. You have to see how he spelled this because it says regard and dill as in D-I-L-L and then D-O-E like a, like a baby lamb or a baby deer, I think. I don't know these things, man. Damn, son, where'd you find this? Awesome, man. Glad to hear, though, man. If not for anything else, we can at least be a little bit entertaining during these, more boring times, man. John says, GM Playa. Good morning, Playa. How are you doing today? Having any nice sexual adventures? SoFi, rip or dip. What? Elsa said never say that again, but that's literally what I say to her every night. I'm like, is it time for some sex wars and sexual adventures? Yes or no? Please respond. Yeah, I call it a sexual relationship. I don't know why that's funny. It's not funny. That's very immature as usual. But, if you could you pull yourself together? Because we're doing a stream right now and like people are, this is embarrassing for you. Anyways, SoFi, rip or dip, my favorite game. Oh man. Oh God. Okay. I actually do think it should be a rip, but it's like a bunch of sleep in my eyes. I need to pull it out. Okay, so I would be biased towards a rip, but it would be a massive fucking dip or an RIP, you know what I'm saying? If it comes back down below those November lows of $23.50. But I'd be going with the current trend in this case. And so that's why I favor the upside. And I look at this as correction down to the red 5 EMA on the monthly time frame. I don't think it's like ready to rip right now. I think it's some more sideways and then a rip if it's going to do that. But again, big focus on $23.50 below there. It's going to be dip and dip fucking hard because that's a real reversal. Now to be expecting, another 20% move or more to the downside. Something like that, man. So just be aware. But, for right now, I'd actually be saying, yeah, I'd be more inclined to say no rip or dip, just sideways and then rip is probably more likely. Great White Hype says Starlink stonk on daily and weekly. Okay. And this is a proxy SATS. Okay. Echo Star Corporation. Cool name. And also cool chart. But hold on. Yeah, actually very cool chart. It's going to the moon as well. Look, rallying up to new all-time highs. I'm not going to hate that, obviously. You're looking at daily and weekly, however, so maybe there's some short-term pullbacks to be mindful of. And even in this case, I think you're ready to break out from here, man. At least if it is going to break out, today would be a great day for that. If you do see it pull back down to about $81, then I'd say breakout's canceled and some more sideways before very likely a continuation. Overall, though, whether it breaks out today or not, I do think that this thing has not put in the highs yet. It is probably going to put in a major high later this month or at latest January because this thing is this is extreme. This is a monthly BBWP read right here, which just, you don't see it that high very often. And monthly RSIs, into some pretty crazy territories, although, it can always go higher, I guess. But ultimately, I would be looking for a major high either later this month or in January. And in the very, very short term, if it, basically, as long as it just doesn't close below $81, I'd be looking at this thing as likely to carry on like literally from here. And this is the breakout more or less. But yeah. And then you're looking at Tesla 4-hour daily. Elsa, can you fill up my water with our amazing water? I'll turn off my camera if you don't want to be seen. Do you not want to be seen? All right. Here you go. All right. It's ready for you. Yes, it's off. It's off. And watch out for the wires. Just lots of wires. There you go. Nice one. All right. So I have the best wife. We're going to turn back on that camera. No, you're not a dog. You're a wife. Why would you say that? It's fucking weird. Anyways, Tesla on the 4-hour daily. It's like my dad's favorite stock to trade. My dad's been living with us for a little bit of time because they're searching for their own house. And every fucking morning, man, I still see him trading this damn thing. It's like he hates Elon Musk, but he just loves to trade this thing. Short-term pullback. You know, we do have some hidden bearish divergence on what this current local high right here. So I do look at this thing as likely to pull back. Maybe not necessarily exactly how these LARP lines are doing, but, you know, back down to 420 at least. Somewhere between like 430 to 420 at least. And then I do think there is potential to actually hit the LARP line at about 400 to 405. But again, bullish here, bullish as long as we're above the November lows. Below November lows, okay, yeah, you know, call it a reversal and big downside moves. But for right now, you know, I'm always going to bet on something that's in an uptrend around the current all-time highs. You know, especially with an RSI read like this. So, you know, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'm still holding my Tesla stock. So yeah, again, this is a long-term position. I got most of my position below $300, like well below $300. But at the same time, you know, I'm holding because I think it's going to go up long-term. I'll put it this way. If you're on a 4-hour time frame, however, do I think it's going to pull back here? Yeah, it's very likely going to pull back. I do think there is a real risk of coming down to $400. I don't know if that's relevant to you or not, but yeah. Anyways, La Major says, good afternoon. Good morning to you, sir. Can we please check BE Stonk? Okay, what is this Stonk? This sounds familiar, but it's not. Bloom Corporation. Okay. I bought in the weekly test of 21 and looking to hold to my price target of 194 based on Fib retrace. Am I misguided for looking at that figure? 194. Well, there is no Fibonacci retracement to that because that would literally be new all-time highs. So you must be talking about a Fibonacci extension. So you bought, hold on, let's see. You bought the weekly 21. So you bought about $80. Look, man, you're already in massive profit here. I think that this position is okay. Not because I actually like your target or anything like that, but because you have a really obvious invalidation point here to become, I wouldn't say bearish on, but just looking for a significant retracement to the point where I wouldn't want to be long. And it's just this month low, the current month low at about $100. So I guess that's like right around here. As long as you're above $100, I look at this thing as more likely to, you know, trade in new highs. I don't know about 194. Think that number was just kind of pulled out of the Angus there, but I would just be looking for, you know, new highs, probably somewhere around like 165 to 175 region. But if you do come back down below $100 and especially close a weekly below there, I think that position, I'd take the profit at that point because you'd still be in profit and, you know, perhaps reposition lower later because this thing is probably going to come down a lot more from there if that were to happen. But for right now, you know, this on the monthly does look like it is going to use the red 5 EMA to base off of. And if it's going to do that, one moment while the water comes in, there we go. Oh, I also put a fucking Labubu on my water. Okay, great. Now I have a fucking gay-ass Labubu on my shit. Sorry, I didn't mean that. What I meant to say was I have a very happy Labubu. Okay, looks like hello derp. Also loves these fucking Hello Kitties things. She loves it so much that our 3-year-old niece said, "Why do you like Hello Kitty so much?" I'm telling you, I got the energy of a 3-year-old and closed the door. Because otherwise the sound reverbs a little bit. Anyways, yeah, my point is there again, you know, if it's going to be using this as a basing point, then, all right, fine, don't close it. I'll just, okay, great, amazing. Anyways, we got Tom next. He says, ADI, weekly, monthly, any steam left? I don't know. I don't think I've seen this one. Analog devices. Yeah, this is a new one for me. Yeah, this is fucking good, man. This is the kind of stock that you just fucking hold. You just fucking hold. You don't overthink things. You just hold it, okay? This is like a Costco stock. This is like a McDonald's stock. This is like a Coca-Cola stock. You just fucking hold it. I don't even know what the fuck this thing is, but when I see literally, 5 decades, over 50 years of beautiful history, and it's just breaking out to new all-time highs on this current month, yeah, totally bearish, bro. No, this is really, really good, man. Now, look, if you're on the lower term time frames, you know, there's probably gonna be some pullbacks relatively soon, but you know, you're on the weekly and monthly, so I'd just be looking up and to the right, man. You could make kind of an area of interest based off of what Fibos 20 likes to call the rate of change on this current formation. And that would be tentatively giving you an area of interest around about $300. Nice round even number there too. So I'd guess somewhere around there before the next consolidation. But yeah, man, it's good. It's good. You know, and you got a very obvious invalidation below last week's low as well. So I always love these plays where you can take a position and the invalidation is like super obvious and very recent, like in this case, last week low, just whatever the last period was. You don't have to wait too long to figure out if you're going to be wrong, and you don't have to risk too much money to figure out if you're going to be wrong as well. Let's see. Darkra 93. What's up, man? Hello, sir. IMPUY. Okay. Daily, weekly. You know, it's a sign of the community massively maturing when people no longer ask for like a 15-minute time frame and a 4-hour time frame, and instead ask for a daily and a weekly, or a weekly and a monthly. It's pretty cool, actually, because I've kind of gravitated towards that myself. Anyways, daily, weekly here. I feel like I need to go to the monthly to get an idea of what this thing's doing. And, you know, do I think it's going to pull back down to reconnect with a red 5 EMA at about 1160? I think that that is a good possibility here, especially with this putting in a lower high on hidden bearish divergence. I do think you're going to pull back in the short term, but I would have a bullish bias after retesting that number around 1160, 1170, whatever it is, you know, just somewhere down to that to reconnect here. And try for some upside. I don't know, maybe early 2026, in the coming year. This also does have, I wouldn't say it has an as easy of an invalidation as the other ones, but it is $10, just your November lows. As long as you're above there, I would have a bullish bias with the short-term pullback. Something like that, man. Straight Path is back. He's looking at CLSK. I always know, man. I always know whenever I see your avatar, this one's coming. And I still think these LARP lines are just directionally correct. I think you're kind of reaching the height of this current rally, but in the short term, probably rallies up one more time to fulfill this test to like $16 or so, something like that. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to push through. I think you're going to continue sideways for a while, and then later on, you know, probably sometime next year, this one will try a real upside move. But your range is still the same: 23.5 to the upside versus 6.5 to the downside. It's really not much more than that going on in this thing, and you know, I think you're just going sideways for a while with small, you know, pops here and there. But yeah, in the short term, should try a rally here. I think like $16 again, maybe as much as 16.5, but I don't think it's going to break out from here. But I would say it's also a really good sign that this thing is starting to really find its footing alongside that white 200 simple on the weekly time frame. I look at that as a really good basing point. So, you know, whenever it does come back down around there into single digits, I think that that's probably good places to accumulate something like this if you really want to hold it long term, which I don't know if you do or don't, but that's kind of how I'd be looking at it. Anyways, the Schwab, it's him, Klaus Schwab. Anytime Elsa sees an advertisement for Charles Schwab, you know, the investment platform, she's like, is that Klaus? Is that him? I'm like, no, it's just another guy. Just another guy. All right. Just fixing the camera up a little bit. It could be his cousin. That is true. I mean, they're both, I guess, I don't know. Klaus Schwab is just, I mean, like, he is the epitome of just European fucking bureaucrat, scary person. Like, they couldn't have picked someone better to be the emperor. European bureaucrats, man, they're just the most pathetic of anything. They really are. Like, they are the people, they are what San Francisco wishes they were. They smell their own fucking farts. I'm telling you right now, they do it. I've seen them. Could you look at PG longer term? Okay. To me, that means monthly and quarterly. Not good. Kind of breaking down on the weekly there, and also on the monthly. You know, it should it should have a pity bounce relatively soon. Where are we on the quarterly? Well, I mean, then again, it's okay. I do think it's going to come down more first and then have a pity bounce, maybe closer to like 135 to 130. And if things get really crazy, your absolute bounce area is going to be around 120. This low here, also the green 55 in the quarterly. This thing's obviously topped for a while. Yeah, a lot of bearish divergence on the quarterly even. And the monthly's kind of breaking down here too. So I really don't like that. Yeah, down first and bounce later. Man. I think you're going to get closer to, let's just call it 130, give or take 5 from that number. It's kind of like the bounce zone, I guess. But even then, I mean, it does have a really good long-term history of going up. I'm just trying to look for some, you know, oh God, the yearly is fucking atrocious, man. Bearish divergence on it's not necessarily bearish engulfing, but it's pretty ugly as it stands. I mean, if this thing doesn't salvage itself above 145 by end of year, I mean, I think you're in for a very corrective period in 2026, down big to, low 100s overall. Anyways, so yeah, potential bottom areas as you did request. I think you got a big area of interest at 122, and then below there you got like closer to 100, very, very, very low 100s. Those are potential bottoming areas, but at least big bouncing titties and areas for price. Darrell K says, Powell stock, weekly, please. Sure, man. A lot of stocks today. I love it. I fucking love it. We need more stonk action analysis. Weekly time frame here. Again, beautiful general uptrend. Very much an uptrend as long as you're above 279 or 280. As long as you're above there, I'm just generally bullish. Let's see, what other obvious things that we have? I mean, in the short term, I do think it will pull back a little bit, but just doesn't need to just cannot violate the November low. And at that point, this trend is just poised to continue here, man. And looking for some obvious, I don't know, I'm not seeing anything else that's super obvious. I'll just be going off a trend here. If it pulls back down to like 315 or 310, that's fine. Just don't want to see 275 violated, or sorry, 280 violated. At that point, big fucking problems. For a much deeper correction, probably down to like 220, 230-ish region. But for right now, yeah, putting in a constructive consolidation here at high levels is not necessarily a bad thing at all. Oh boy. Tex, Hex, and friends. I wonder what his comment will be. Pulse chain starting to see some exciting price action. I believe you. Would you mind taking a look at Pulse and Pulse X daily and weekly? Just one check one at a time, sir. My soundboard only has so much bandwidth. We'll look at Pulse because this one's probably this is the progenitor of all. Oh, it's not even on TradingView anymore, so that's a great sign. Let's see what happens if I type in Pulse chain. Pulse chain. Okay, so a million of these things. God, all right. I'm gonna, just because I'm genuinely curious. Let's go to Dex Tools. I think that's how you do it. Starting to see some exciting. Let's see what exciting price action means. What would you define as exciting price action? Does anyone have an idea? To me, it means like up big. But let's see. Maybe this thing is up big. Okay, this one's Peacock. Amazing. I'm really believing that one. Great name. Okay, I don't know what any of these things are doing. Let me just go to Coin Market Derp and see what this is showing. Okay. There will always be someone who is still obsessed with such things. All right, here we go. We got a chart. Okay, so I'm looking at the full history of this thing, and it looks very exciting. Then it goes up like 5%. You're like, oh, shit! That's what's happening right here. I'm excited. Who's excited? Is anyone else excited? I'm super excited, bro. I'm very excited today. Unfortunately, I have to respectfully disagree, sir. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm happy to be wrong about these things. In fact, I definitely am. Please don't send the hex people after me. I'm just reading charts, man. I can be wrong. Anyways, yeah, as far as daily and weekly, literally no one trades this, man. Like, you can see long periods of time with no trades going on. Like, I think this was a well, I'm not going to even complete that. I don't want to get in this shit right now. Yeah, man, it's great. I think you should long your longs. It's going well. Anyways, Callie Miggy says, what's up, Crown? What's up, man? Thinking of taking a gamble on MSTX, given that MicroStrategy looks like it's bottoming out. What's a good entry point for a swing trade? All right, I'm going to adopt your disposition here. I'm not saying that I believe this, but this is a 2x long MicroStrategy ETF. I'm going to be very, very, very clear with you, sir. If MicroStrategy is going to bounce, this is not the thing to play it on. In my opinion. Where's a good entry point for a swing trade? Look, man, it's a fucking down. It's making new lows right here. I wouldn't buy unless if it confirms a breakout, to be honest with you, because these things are just more likely to go down than they are up. Let's see what MicroStrategy looks like. MicroStrategy is easier to play in this case. I mean, look, if MicroStrategy came back down to like 170, you know, I think that could be okay. And if it came down to 140, I think that would be very obvious. But one of those two areas would be, I think, a playable bounce. But to put it as a corollary to the MSTX, because of the way this one is leveraged, I think getting a bounce here is actually gonna be a lot more difficult or at least to play that. With MicroStrategy, I think it's actually a lot easier to play just because you have a very obvious setup there. And, you know, for MicroStrategy, like I said, those two areas would be the areas that I'd be looking to build a position if I really wanted to do that. And I think that you could easily have a bounce to 220 or even, 250 in the next month or two for MicroStrategy. Now, if you really were intent on playing MSTX, I guess the best way to do that would be to set alerts for MicroStrategy on those numbers and then correlate that to MSTX whenever they fire off. And at that point, I guess take a position. But again, I'm adopting what your mentality is there. I'm not necessarily saying that I agree with it. Although I do think, this isn't a bouncy region right here. We were bearish on MicroStrategy all the way from about 380 down to, I was looking for 140, the 200 simple to get hit here, but it's close enough in this case. So I'm looking at this as a bounce area. We've seen the majority of this move. It's been straight down for, 5 months, 6 months almost. Like, what's a pity bounce at this point, especially like a big one, 30%, something like that. I think it is very possible. So I like the idea. I'm just not sure that I'd set it up in that same way, but hey, I'm not your fucking dad. So you can do whatever the hell you want to do, man. Adam Collane says, GM, Mr. and Mrs. Sirs. Good morning to Sir as well. This goes to Elsa's bag purse fund. Nice. I miss her intros, Simpson Virgins. When is she coming back? She's here. She has it. I just set up a desk for her, and her new computer is coming, I think today or tomorrow, hopefully. But I don't know. You've just been shy? Is that what's going on? She says, I will do it someday. She says she would like a new bag though. Thank you. Well, fair enough. It has been a while, I guess. John says, have dad on stream, TA, PM, and I actually asked him yesterday if he'd be down to do like an interview sort of thing, but I don't know if he's actually going to be down. He's pretty self-conscious and he does have a stutter like me. I mean, where did I get my fucking stutter from? My dad. It is embarrassing to study, like I get that, but he's just not used to being on a video or anything like that. So I guess it's more of an issue for him. But he would love to do that. I'm sure. Like if we just got him enough caffeine or something, get him all riled up. But we can go look at it ourselves. I can tell you what he's going to say. He's going to say fucking down only, most likely. But yeah, I don't know. I'd kind of be thinking the same thing here as well. I mean, you got that bounce up to the red 5 EMA. That's a great place for the high of this bounce. I mean, if you want to be bearish on it, trying to look for a counterpoint here. I mean, I guess I could see a counterpoint of it rallying a little bit more towards $40, but this is a downtrend, this is a breakdown, and this is a real and clear reversal. So whether it continues on the bounce or not, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion that this thing wants to come back down at some point to those 2024 lows. Just the question is, how long does that take? Does it take a few months? Does it take a few years? Who knows? But yeah, let's go look at Ethereum because I think this thing is holding mostly Ethereum or something like this. Ethereum's trying to dig in here for a local low as well. It's coming off of the quarterly, I think. Oh no, it's not. To be honest, at this point, I actually don't really hate Ethereum on this low at 26. That area does make sense in a lot of ways for a low, and if it does come lower, 2450 is not that much risk right there. So it's a big buffer zone, but then again, it's fucking Ethereum. It's just, I don't know. It's just mostly failed, I guess, recently. Shout out for Florida to fall off into the Gulf of America, says Sequoia. I guess I've heard about this for a while as well, but people still move there every day. Sunny December, Florida. Yeah, we're actually not in Florida, but we are in a very, very sunny state as well, man. But unfortunately, we can't really talk about where we live anymore because we had some not so nice experiences, I'll say. So yeah, unfortunately, we've also had some great experiences as well. And we also do massively love Florida, but yeah, man, at this point, I just don't, I'm probably not going to be talking about exactly where I live anymore, just out of fear. But yes, we have guns. We have I have swords, man. I just bought a new sword this weekend. It's a battle ready katana. I'm really excited about it. It's sitting right next to my bed right now, but soon after I get my new ID, Oh man, I'm buying all the fucking guns in the store. All the fucking guns. God, I'm so excited, man. All the fucking guns. Can't wait, man. Can't wait. What else we got? What's up, Peter? It's good to see you over there, man. Good to fucking see you. Crown, can you tell us about your snowboarding experiences? Yeah, my experience is very low and I'm very bad. Not. Oh, in Lapland? Yeah, I mostly spent the time falling flat on my face, so there's a lot of that. Yeah, I'm not very skilled in that, but it is really, really fun. So I like to do it despite being terrible at it. I was able to go all the way down, but like a grandma, I'd say. PSA for the win, unless you want Gucci guns. Wait, what? Oh, PSA is the brand. I was looking at Sig Sauer. I don't know. Do you guys have? Does Gucci have a gun? I don't know. Probably. They probably all got fucking wrapped up guns and shit like that. Anyways, what else we got? Here? I'm just gonna read through some of these comments. Fartcoin looking good here. No cap. Sure. I don't know if I'd say it looks good, but I don't know. It could extend the rally to like 48 cents, and that's like a 20% move from where it's at right now, so that's not impossible. Somewhere between 48 to maybe even 56 if it gets really going. Probably good short at that point too. I'm going to set in some alerts here. Hey, set in my alert, you fuck. There we go. Senor Krong, how do you chart newer assets less than 1 year price history? Your skepticism on that is very much, validated, because when you chart something that just has a lack of history, you can't make up what doesn't exist. So how do you chart it? You just focus on lower term timeframes and realize that you're not going to have any good predictive powers for the higher term timeframes, unfortunately. To even use a weekly timeframe, like relatively okay, you need almost 10 years of history, man. So, you're just not going to have that in 1 year. I mean, a daily time frame barely makes sense on on just 1 year of history. But I'd say that's about as high as you can go at that point. Any higher than that, it's just not going to be super useful or super helpful. And lower timeframes actually do take more meaning during those times, just because that's all you got. Anyways, we got Assy next. She's looking at platinum. It's XPD, right? XPD. I always forget this one. No, that's palladium. Hold on. Is it XPT? XPT. Yes. Okay. There we go. Yeah, you like these. You definitely like these heavy metals, but I don't know. These things are generally the thing to go with as of recent. But I think that this thing is topping out on this rally. Honestly, I think it is overall going to be good, Asti. I just think it's topping out on the rally right now, and you're going to get a pullback into a higher low and then continue on later. But that might take half a year. It might take a very long time. That's what I'm trying to say. But I do think that the high of this rally is likely in. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You'll know that I'm wrong because basically just closed above the high of the current rally. And at that point, I'd look for this thing to scream back up to $2,000, and probably do the same thing there. But, I think that this thing's quite tired on this current rally and you're ready to go into a pullback. You're seeing extremes on monthly BBWP and monthly RSIs getting quite up there, although technically not having any divergence or nothing like that. But I do think that, I do think that you've seen the majority of this current rally and you're ready for some sideways action. Do not get a Sig Sauer. They are self-firing. What does that even mean? What does that even mean, sir? Sig P365 Legion. Actually, my friend just suggested that to me. Sig is good. Canic is good. Sig's good. Honestly, it's a never-ending rabbit hole. That's what I figure, man. That's what I figure. Sig is Gucci, says Jezebel's. Seems like most people actually have a good opinion of Sig. I was looking at Sig and I was looking at Smith & Wesson, and I was also looking at another one that had a version of the 1911, which I just think is like the coolest looking gun of all, the coolest looking handgun, obviously. But yeah. Anyways, they go off without pulling the trigger. Well, that'd be bad. But CR250 says that's been fixed. Yeah, I would imagine that's a very high priority to fix. Guys, our gun continues to fire without anyone touching the trigger. What should we do? Let's change the color. Satoshi says, can you humor me and do technical analysis on SWFTC? What is this? Oh, Swift coin. Oh, great. Yeah. So bullish, it's bearish. It's so bullish, it's bearish. The revolver is the best because you never have a jam. Oh, I should get a revolver. That is pretty awesome. No, I don't want to get a Glock. Yeah, 1911 would be awesome. Beretta could be cool. Glock just seems too hood to me. I'm not hood enough, okay? I'm not hood enough. I don't have enough street cred. No, I'm not too cool. I'm not cool enough for school. You know, the Glock is for the gangsters and the G's, and I'm not. I'm not a G. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a pimp, unfortunately. So I can't have a Glock. A shotgun for the house. Yeah, I think I'll get a shotgun as well. Get an MP5. Can you get that as a just normal person? AR-15 is a real rabbit hole. Yeah, I'm sure. I love this, man. I fucking love this community. People know about their guns, and I can learn some more about some guns. Elsa says, get a rifle. Yeah, we can get all of these things, but I need like how do I get in? Can I just like get an armory, you know, somewhere to lock these things up? Huh? Okay, great idea, Elsa. Let's get a fucking bazooka and go, you know, blow up some fucking cattle. Nothing like a flamethrower for house protection and also house devastation. Like what? Great idea. My Glock 20s for bear control. It's called a big safe. Yeah, I was looking at the store the other day. They cost a lot. Like for these big ass safes, they can be like $2,000. I was thinking like, is the average person buying one of these and, you know, storing their guns, or are they just putting it under their fucking, you know, pillow? Shotgun is easiest for break-ins if that's concerned. Yeah. Well, what I really want to do, the end game here, I'll let you know my end game. My end game is to buy a Tesla robot and arm it with an AR-15 and say, hey, if you see anyone come around this property, you fucking kill them. Okay, don't actually just kill them, but, you know, maim them in a way that incapacitates them, please. Crown, do you still practice boxing? I still do, man, but it's actually been kind of difficult finding it's not that difficult finding a trainer around here, but it's just weird going with a new trainer after you've been with someone for so long. Just strange, man. It's like an old girlfriend. It's like, I miss him. I miss my Finnish trainer. He's a good guy. Anyways, can you take a look at Bitcoin Tard? Is that a real thing? I hope it is. BitTard. It's actually not. I've been trolled once again. Elsa's very hood. Yeah, with your Hello Kitty outfit. I believe you. Or the little Robo-Dog. Yeah, that'd be awesome as well. Better get hood with all the Florida men running around plus those gators. Yeah, fucking smash a gator. Smash gator up. But actually, we're not in Florida. I got a bug, a salt. Wait, what? I got a bug, a salt. What does that even mean? Yeah, but I want like an actual robot patrolling my property. That's what I really, really want. That's where I truly start to feel safe. Don't use a rifle for home protection unless you want to go through your neighbor's walls. Good point. Yes, good point indeed. Home defense bazooka. Elsa likes that idea. Caretaker might have different opinions. Got to think about accessibility in emergency situations. If you have all your guns locked up, will you be able to enter a security code? And yeah, of course, I know that that's going to be a natural issue. But the problem is that I have a 3-year-old niece, and she has a very bad habit of literally exploring everything and touching fucking everything. So like, I have to hide all of my weed in the highest of the high, cabinets, and I guess I'll just hide my guns there too. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. Like, I don't even need to save. Just fucking put it up real high. She won't be able to get it there. She hasn't found my weed yet, so that's good. Like, you want to see a 3-year-old with infinite energy getting high as fuck? Probably would be good for her, to be honest with you. But yeah. Anyways, a Roomba IUD. Where the hell is Stickman? You know what? In honor of Steven Schickman not being here, I hope that he's all right. But let's go check out Doggy Coin for the replay. Some bullish evidence on the slow. I don't know how much I really trust that, but still, it's coming off of that weekly trend and simple. I'm still inclined to call for a bounce here. I just am. Anytime I see an asset coming into this number, it's also kind of bouncing off of the bearish control zone for now. So I think you get one more bounce here. I still think Bitcoin's poised to bounce. So if Bitcoin bounces, this thing should as well. At some point, it's very likely going to break down, but what's one more bounce? It's already had a few from the same area. Give it one more, I suppose, and then let it break down later on. But at some point, it will break. It's looking more and more likely by the month. But who knows? That might take, half a year, a quarter of a year, something like that. If you put your gun in a safe, you need specific cloth to put in there so your guns don't rust. Really? It has something to do with the safe. It will rust your guns? That is strange. I had no idea about that. Get a small safe, like one of those ones just for like just one gun. That could be a good idea as well. Yeah, I haven't looked too much into this, so I actually really do appreciate all of the information that people are sending my way. Probably need to verify this as well because you never know, but it seems like most people are agreeing, so that's probably a good sign. No better place to keep a gun safe from other hands than in a IWB holster. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing it's like a self-carry type thing. Only if you live in a humid area. Yeah, luckily we're actually not in a humid area. A moisture eliminator. Okay. All right. So yeah, so I guess it's not an issue if you don't have moisture, which we don't. In fact, that I can confirm. Anyways, I should probably start charging my phones. Let's see. Where are we? Yeah. Whoops. Okay. Let's pop this guy in here. Oh, an inner waistband. Okay. Yeah. So for concealed carry, It would feel very badass to carry your own gun. I mean, I feel like it just makes your penis grow by about 6 to 12 inches just by doing that. But I also feel like I might accidentally fire on myself. I don't know, man. I'm very clumsy. I'm very fucking clumsy. A Glock is only hood if you hold it sideways. Interesting. Soon the algo will send you all the gun tuber content. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I'm still working through all the fucking car tuber shit. Biff the Bull says, if you didn't have your mentor in life, do you think you'd still be a trader eventually with the same skill? No, I wouldn't. Of course. I mean, I would have had to have found some mentor in trading. But if I wouldn't have found that mentor, of course, my situation would be different. Would I have been able to figure it out on my own? Maybe, but it would have certainly taken a lot longer. I mean, anyone can figure out anything on their own because it's possible to do, right? There was always someone who was first and figured it out on their own. So it is absolutely possible, but it might take you, 10 years instead of 1 year, for example. That's how I kind of think of my program, the Crown Trading Bible. It's like, look, you could learn how to trade on your own. Sure. I mean, it might take you a long time. But at the same time, if you just want to, make that process faster, then, you go with an actual blueprint for learning and then employing these strategies. And then, yeah, you work off of it yourself. And naturally, at some point, you end up self-teaching yourself anyways, because you'll end up reiterating on whatever sort of samples that you have. And that's generally how I see the process go. I've seen many people go through this process now. And for the people who do make it and actually do, end up doing this in somewhat of a living way, whether it be like a full-time job or whether, a part-time job just for, some extra cash on the side, that's how I see it done. There's also people who just never make it at all. Now, some people will say it's because they don't put in enough effort. Some people will say it's because they literally just didn't have the cognitive capabilities to do so. Some people would say, I mean, obviously you have like mental illness that might not help, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I haven't really found like I haven't found a really good heuristic to figure out if someone's going to make it or not. It's been mostly random from what I've seen. I've seen people who spend a lot of time studying and then they never really seem to get it to click, or at least I kind of, thought, all right, it's been like a few years. I don't really see this thing going anywhere. And then there's other people who I'm like, this guy doesn't really seem that dedicated, but he's actually doing like quite well. I've seen all sort of things. So I've kind of stopped judging people at first pass and just been like, hey, some people got it and some people don't. And, that's really all that it is, I guess. Anyways, Cloud Debussy says GE on New York Stock Exchange. Sure. This is GE Aerospace. So long term, always want to, okay. I was going to say long term, it's very, very good. Like on the daily, it was very, very good. Right here, you're back around those prior all-time highs. So this is generally a good pullback region. I do think long term, it will be bullish and it will carry on with a mega macro breakout. But I do think that this is probably going to spend a very prolonged period consolidating below the current highs of 315 or whatever that is. And I do think that there is a real risk at some point of coming down to like 265 to 250-ish region in the coming months. But I wouldn't get bearish on it if that happens. I'd just be looking at that as a pullback on a massive move that really hasn't had a major pullback since April of this year. And, if it comes down to like the mid 200s, I think that's a good opportunity. But yeah, it just hasn't had a higher low in a long time, and the monthly time frame does have bearish divergence here. So I'm biased on some sideways and down. I'm not bearish long term. I just think you have some downside here and a lot of sideways to kind of shake itself off, to be honest. But yeah, all right, let's read through some more of these gun comments. This is fucking great, man. A locked up gun is useless. Keep hidden, inaccessible. Yeah, that's probably the right way to do it. I don't know. If I put it in a very high place, that's probably good enough. Not the mentor who showed you his shoe collection in his Chicago closet. Different one. Yes, that was a gay mentor, and I've had several of them. I don't remember all their names because, well, who knows what their names were, but I've learned in the past I'm very naive because there's been a lot of gay people in the past who have made advances on me, and I just didn't even realize it was an advance. And I've thought like, oh, I'm just being nice to this guy, hanging out with him and not being judgmental because you don't want to be homophobic. But at the same time, it's like, I think he's trying to clap my cheeks, and I don't want my cheeks clapped. What did you say? Yeah, now I know how girls feel all the time. I mean, Jesus Christ. The life of a girl. Yeah, we need to get out to a shooting range. Elsa even is down for a shooting range. I was pretty surprised at that, but she's like, fuck yeah, let's go. And let's put up an American flag at our house too. I'm like, all right. It's good. It's very good. Psychology is just as important as analysis. I mean, they are all equally as important, but at the end of the day, the only thing that actually matters is taking the right actions. And I always go back to this fact because people do, I think, unnecessarily focus on psychology because it's one of those things like you can never like fully prove. So you always have a buyer for that. If you want to sell content on that. But basically, when it comes to psychology, all questions are answered ultimately in the same way. You just do the right action. You can go through a psychology class and try to figure out all of the underlying reasons why you act in a certain way. But at the end of the day, if you want to make the change, you just need to do the action. You don't need to understand why. You just need to do it. It's the same thing as going to the gym and, getting a better physical condition. You don't need to understand all of the underlying reasons why. You just need to go to the fucking gym and follow the plan. That's all you really need to do at the end of the day. So, Duolingo daily, sure. Elsie used to love using this thing. I think she's learning like Japanese or something, but yeah, terrible chart. But it probably should bounce here. I mean, you're coming off the 200 simple. I think that you do have a bit of a bounce here, probably up to this price action pivot trendline extension at 235. But I don't like it long term. I just think that you're in a bounce phase there. Yeah, somewhere around there, and maybe at most like 250. But I'd be looking for pushback after this. I really don't like this chart long term. Like, really don't like it. Live streams with cowboy hat from now on. Actually, that would be a great idea. Elsa almost found, or she did find, some pink cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, so she's very excited too. You'll be fine with any major brand. Think more about what caliber you want to shoot. Well, from what I understand, probably 9mm is going to be about right. But someone did suggest to me a 45 caliber, which I don't know, probably overkill. But I guess you can never go too far. Crown, what's your take on Ethereum daily for a pre-crypto workout? What's up, man? It's been a long time. If we go directly to the daily, similar to Bitcoin, I think you are generally going to bounce higher instead of going lower than the November lows. But in the interim, can this thing have a pullback without violating these November lows? But, maybe pulling back down to like 2850. Yeah, definitely possible. But, similar to Bitcoin, I think you're going to bounce higher than what you've done right now before closing below this low from November, something like that. And if anything, the quarterly on Ethereum is okay. Look, it's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's still above all major moving averages. And if it can just remain above there by end of this quarter, I actually would look at that as potential to run at some point in Q1 of 2026. That's a big if. We got another 23 days left to go, and that number is 3,100. So it's kind of hanging around there for right now. Michael wants to look at Hood. Yeah, we can look at Hood. Some Hood action. Wow. Powerful quarterly. Depends what time frames you're on. You're on a daily and a weekly. Yeah, I'd be looking for this thing to trade back up towards like 144 region. I think you're in a bit of a consolidation here, but you got hidden bullish divergence on this last low. So between 145 and like 150 is where I'm looking for on this rally. Overall, it's bullish. It's just, I don't know if it's like ready to bust. and make new all-time highs, I think you're probably just going to the top side of the range and then probably sideways from there for a while. Not practical, but next gun I want is a Marlin 1895 4570 government stainless lever action. I see you've really done your research on this. Caretaker says, so reassuring that all of the gun advice, not one person has mentioned the rules of gun safety or taking classes. Yeah. This weekend, we're actually going to go to the gun range and actually like learn, properly learn. Because I feel like that, I mean, obviously I've shot guns before, but I've never actually taken a class. I've never actually gotten, advice from like a real expert. Because I'm sure it's like anything, you need to go with someone who actually knows what the fuck they're doing. And then from there, you'll learn a few things. And I don't know, probably after like 20 sessions, you start to become decent, something like that. We're all fine for Crown to become the next statistics. Very possible. Very possible. Hey, all good, Lambie. I appreciate that, man. More power to you, man. Go to the gun range, test them out. That's the easiest way. Says Asti. I like your style, Asti. You're a cool girl. She shoots. She's into crypto. She does all kind of things. She's got some of the better metal charts as well. It's good stuff. Like a lot of people, you will start out with practical self-protection gun. Then before you know it, you're adding long guns, then oddball military models. Gun crack is real. I'm sure, man. And I'll probably get obsessed with World War II guns as well. Like one of those, one of the Car 98Ks, those are just classic guns, man. Holy shit. Even though it is a German gun, it's just cool as shit, man. It really is. And then the M1 Garand, that one's just an epic gun as well. God, man. And then the 1911. I need a 1911. I played too many fucking World War II games to not have a 1911, all right? I know how that thing works because I've shot it many times in Call of Duty. I know it. Anyways. I have an arsenal. I was actually a weapons advisor for the Afghan National Police in Helmand in 2013 and 2014. Are you for real? I can't tell because you joke so often, but if you are for real, that's pretty cool. Sean Ryan is for hire. He taught the stunts for John Wick. Really? There's loads of Lee Enfields. Yeah, the British rifle as well is pretty badass. You have a 1911 within reach. That's very, very cool, man. Yeah, 1911 is just, I think it's the most classic, just beautiful American pistol. But yeah, man, like I said, I still got my research to do and going to take a bit of a class before that. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. What is not exciting, though, is Bitcoin just fucking going sideways and probably a little bit of downside here, too, to open up this week. But no, I don't know. I'm looking for some interesting charts here. I think we have to go to traditional markets for interesting charts. What about triple Qs? Pullback here, but pullback and then bullish. I am for real. That's awesome, man. Hell yeah. Hell fucking yes. Hell fucking yes. And let's see what we got going on over here. I'm in Cali and I got the Beretta AR-70. It's illegal, so I have it hidden away. Definitely tell that to the internet, my man. Is Bitcoin at the bottom, says $2 Chuck? Probably not. Like, on what time frame? On what time frame? Is this a swing low? Yes. Is it going to be the low before never going below it ever again? Probably not. Always depends on the time frame, my man. Always depends on the time frame. But just don't tell anyone. Keep it on the DL. I love it when people say that. Low key and DL. It's like, fuck you. Shut up. This fucking kid came up to me this weekend, shilling window washing services, and he's like, yo, but low key. I'm like, I'm not hiring you. You can't say that shit. He said something and then low key, and I'm just like, oh, so you're a retard. I made the grave mistake of hiring a white person to do my lawn. Never again. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. White people, very fucking bad at it. Very fucking bad. No good work ethic. Anyways, XMR BTC per daily chart, head and shoulders bottom. I don't know. Let's see. I remember we looked at this one last week and it was an interesting chart, but I forget what it looks like. So let's discover it together. Is this an inverted head and shoulders bottom on the daily? Okay, first off, it wouldn't be an inverted head and shoulders. This would be a regular head and shoulders, and it would be a top, sir. So this would be your left shoulder. That's your head. That's your right shoulder. Yeah. It would be a breakdown if it comes back down below this low from the 20th of November at, what is it? 38.22 Satoshis, 3,800 Satoshis almost. Yeah, I don't see. I honestly, I think that this is going to be your next. Look, Jesus fucking Christ, man! Where do people get these ideas? This is a beautiful place for the next massive lower high, long term, and you also got hidden bearish divergence possible on the monthly time frame. You're at the 55. I mean, this is picture fucking perfect. Yes, there might be one more rally back to around like 43, 4,400, but ultimately this thing wants to come down. This thing wants to come down and wants to come down big. It's a long-term downtrend. It's never been an uptrend, and this is the perfect place absolutely for another lower high. So I'm going to bet on continuation of trend rather than a reversal. What's up, Leffy? Can you check out ALCH? Is it time to just short it? Well, the best time to short it was basically many days ago. Second best time is maybe not today. It's difficult to just short these random shit coins because they do have these massive pumps every once in a while, so you can get fucked up. No, I wouldn't be short. Well, I don't know. Because this actually is okay. If this was not a shit coin, if this was like a real stock, I would say no, you don't want to short this. But because it is a shit coin and it's back around those prior highs, it probably is. I mean, I don't know. It makes it difficult. I wouldn't play it though. I wouldn't play it, to be honest with you. I'd rather short like a confirmed breakdown, and all you need to do is wait for this thing to go back down below 17 cents for that to happen. Right here above 20 cents, I wouldn't do it right now because technically this is actually a good chart as of the moment for the long term. It's just because it's a shit coin, I don't really trust it. But if I'm looking at the monthly, I mean, this is objectively good. So I would only short it if it actually confirms reversal, and that would be confirmed below about 17 cents. At that point, yeah, send it back down to the lows overall. But I wouldn't want to really front run something like this because you never know with shit coins. They can pump out of nowhere. That's what makes them very, very difficult, unfortunately. Let's see. Vahid is looking at Oracle. Sure. ORCL. Oracle Corporation here. I still think the LARP lines are generally going to be right. It's just sideways and then up from here. But don't underestimate the amount of sideways that can transpire in the near term. Just don't think it's going to be doing anything super insane. In the very, very short term, probably comes back down to these lows below $200 or around $200. But I just don't think it's going to break down from there. I just think it's some sideways, something like that. Island Cyclones looking at U.S. oil, sure. U.S. oil here, WTI crude. Hidden bearish divergence on the last local high. It is a downtrend right now. It's been a pretty nasty downtrend since when? Since 2022. I'm going to bet on continuation of trend. I think you probably come back down to these 55, 56 lows. But oil is notoriously difficult, to kind of get technically. But if I had to call it, that would be it. Most things tell me it's coming back down to this low here from May. So something like that. Yeah, we actually did go over my strategy a lot earlier. You just whiffed the whole stream. It's all good, man. It's all good. We got a new time now, but yeah, we will continue to be very, very, very consistent with this time. I'm actually feeling very good about this time. AG silver mining, if you got a sec, mid to longer term. I'm just going to type this in. I don't know what the ticker is off the top of my head, obviously. Silver mining. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which one. It's best to just give a fucking ticker. I'm guessing it's probably AGX. Bullish, man. This is bullish. Very bullish as long as you're above about 30 cents. Any pullback is probably fine. I mean, if the pullback down to 38, that's fine. I think it's generally going up, man. It's a new all-time high breakout, assuming that this is what you actually want to look at. Herpes on the derpies of AVAX. Sure. Sure, man. I'm not sure you want to do this, but sure. I've been bearish on this one for a long time. I'll continue to be bearish on it. I still think you're coming down generally to the lows of 2023. Overall, terrible. 1, 2, 3 lower highs on the monthly. I'd feel probably pretty good to say that this thing will never get back above $36. Or at least if that is going to happen, that's like a multi-year thing. Like, well, it's not even worth talking about. So fucking far away. Yeah, when I look at the quarterly, I feel very confident on that. This thing is going to make new lows. It's going to retest the lows from 2023 and then make new lows at some point in 2026. This is terrible. It's fucking awful. It's fucking awful. Like, it's fucking awful. It's really bad. It's hilarious to me. in a way, or maybe it's just sad to me, or enlightening, because it is also enlightening as well, that people will cling on to these past cycle, big exploders that just never get the fucking light of day ever again. I've seen 1,000,001 charts just like this. They get their first cycle blow up, big move to the upside. People get lulled into this, alternate reality where they think that that's normal and that just happens. It just happens again in the future. No, that'll never happen again to that extent. And this quarterly high here at $36, this thing has never been an uptrend. I don't think it ever will be on a time frame like this. ZEC, let's see what ZEC is doing. Last we looked at it, I was looking at it. This one is likely topping out. I haven't looked at it in a couple weeks now. Let's see, has it topped out or not? Is it wrong or not? Definitely was a top, yeah, but probably gonna rally here, to be honest, man. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing rally back to like 470 or 480, maybe even 520, but somewhere in that pocket there, and then put in a lower high and then come down more. Yeah. Hard though on the longer term. It is kind of hard because the quarterly is not that bad, especially if the quarterly finishes December above 375, which it's well above right now, but it's a long 23 days left to go, and that only takes like 2 seconds for Zcash to take out. But if it does finish above there, I wouldn't be bearish. I wouldn't necessarily feel great about being bullish, but I wouldn't be bearish. I'll put it that way. It's got the fundamentals. Yes, indeed. Where did you find your mentor? My wife wants to do trading full time in the future, considering showing her the trading Bible. If it will help, she's decent, but not enough for full time yet. Trading Bible is good, especially if you can be more like self-motivated to learn, because you do need to go through it at your own pace. But having like a mentor in real life is super useful, because sometimes, and some people just do better with someone who's like quite literally there. The good thing about the Trading Bible is that we do include the AI chatbot, which can help act as that sort of a role. But I really want to get a sort of voice module working for that, because I think that would be much better, just because some people are more oriented like that. They learn better from hearing it rather than reading it. But yeah, as far as where did I find my mentor, I found it through my dad, and my dad was also a mentor in a way as well. He is a mentor because, one, he was a trader, and two, he was teaching me from the time I was like 11, either 10 or 11. I used to go down to the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange every week, something like this, and I'd clerk for him, even though it's kind of illegal, but no one gave a fuck back then. Like, no one gave a fuck. And I did that, pretty much until I was a young adult. So yeah, man. He very much imprinted on me. And then of course, who did I find another mentor from? It was a family friend through my father. But yeah, both of them were pretty integral to my own growth. And from there, it was a lot of self-teaching and trial and error, honestly. But yeah, having them from an early age was, it's invaluable. And honestly, I was in a very lucky position. I don't really know where I'd be if I didn't have that. To be just very frank, I really don't know where I'd be. So, as always, we owe it to the giants of the shoulders that we are standing on. But yeah, Hype, you want to look at Hype coin? I actually have it on my list. I haven't looked at it in a while, but yeah, we called a top on this one back here at $47. Feeling pretty good about that one still. This one's on the verge of breaking down, so it's relatively weak because Bitcoin's, kind of closer to the top of its daily range. This one's on the verge of breaking. If this one closes below your last day of November low of 29.17, which it's very close to right now, but it's not necessarily below. But if it does close below there on a daily time frame, that's a breakdown, and I'd be looking for this thing to come down to like $21-22. That's a big fucking move from where it's at right now. It's like nearly a 30% move. It's not great. It's not great. Yeah. Look, that is what I do hope to do with the Crown, with the Crown Trading Bible. It's just basically put out kind of a blueprint of what I had. But again, it isn't the same as having someone next to you. Like, that is a big differential. But if I can get the chatbot to do voice, I think that could be nearly as good, because it is the chatbot is really fucking good. Like, it's right more than 90% of the time. Yes, it doesn't get everything perfect, but it's certainly right way more often than it's wrong. So I've been very, very impressed with it, and I continue to work on it as well. But yeah, man. Anyways, what else do we have here? I guess we're kind of near the end of this right now. We're almost two hours into this bitch. American says, Crown, could Bitcoin Sunday's low of 87.5 be the new higher low as the bouncing titties price for potential high 90s, lower 100s? Is it possible? Yes. Do I think it's likely? Let's go back down to Bitcoin lower term time frame. I don't think it's actually as likely here. I think that this thing does want to come down a little bit more, but yeah, I'd be more inclined to say that, because this to me is rejection right here on the 12-hour, and I think that that's rather obvious. Same thing on what's it called on CME. So yeah, I think it's down first, then up. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know, I'm not too fussed with the lower term timeframes here. The higher term timeframes are the ones that are obvious. So if I had to call them lower, though, I would say down first for a higher low on a daily, and then I try to the upside. But yeah, and tentatively on CME, that would be like 87.5 ish, something like that, man. Low key, the Balkan dwarf still a thing. Unfortunately, he's not. Last I looked, Gucci sells purses with built-in guns. No fucking way. Hopefully they don't. Smash the like mofos. This Matthew Speed. I appreciate it, my man. How about Novo? You know what? Let's end on Novo. Novo Nordisk. This isn't there one on Nicey? I'm just gonna go with this one. No, this is not right. I know that there's a better chart than this. It's not coming up to me right now though. So you got to tell me. Have I missed you dooming link to the gulag for the next 500 years, or will you pull the chart up? We can look at it right now. We can end on the link instead. I imagine still it's the same chart as Dogecoin, and in fact it does. It's kind of resting right now on the 200 simple. It's like I'm always going to be biased towards a bounce off of a number like this, but you know, similar to Dogecoin, I think it's really lost its way here, and I guess it's not as bad as Dogecoin, but I do think that this one will break down given enough time, but that might take, you know, a year or 6 months. I mean, my point is it might be a long time, you know. Is it going to bounce off the 200 simple again? Probably yes. You did have hidden bullish evidence on this last low. What's another bounce? I mean, it's already bounced a million times. So at some point it will break. I just don't think it's this time. But I'm going to say that every fucking time because that's just my rule. So at some point I will be wrong, but I don't know. I just don't think it's this time right here. I don't see the volatility reads that I'd be expecting to see if it is going to break down. You know, I'd want to see very low volatility, and it's not necessarily high volatility right now, but it's just not low. I mean, I want to see it like below 25 percentile on the BBWP on the weekly, and yeah, at that point, okay, you got a real issue with potential breakdown. So yeah. It's NVO. Okay, we'll do NVO, and then we done. Oh yeah, there we go. On Nicey, hidden bearish evidence on the daily. So short term probably back down to like 45, maybe even 43.5. Weekly, I mean, just terrible long term. Like, sir, don't be doing that. So the monthly time frame here is where the picture becomes a little bit more clear. And I do think that you are kind of close in terms of price to getting like a pretty major bounce. I do think that your low is going to be somewhere in this pocket between your current low and the 200 simple at 36.25 on the monthly, that is. And I do think you'll get a pretty mega bounce, something like this, where my LARP line was, but was wrong, but something like this. Okay, maybe not this high, but you get the idea, you know, big bounce like 70 plus or whatever. But when it comes into this low here, I would expect it to take a long time to really, you know, grind out that low before it puts in a bounce. So the way that I look at this is that it's just a fucking dead investment. You know, you have the Eiffel Tower pattern right here. And after the Eiffel Tower pattern typically comes a very long sideways range, and then you get a big bounce. And, you know, it's just lost opportunity cost more or less, in my opinion. But yeah, man, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with everyone on this nice Monday morning here. I'm really enjoying the community and like the sort of like more intimate feel right now during these kind of quieter times. So I just want to say a massive thank you for joining in, because this is what makes things fun. Other than that, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. We are going to continue on with the live stream schedule at 9 a.m. or sorry, it's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll continue with that. And then regular uploads will be Tuesday and Thursday, and then traditional markets on Sunday. And if I have time for it, or if I just have an inspiration, then we'll do another financial video on Saturday. But for right now, I'm all empty. And so we shall reconvene tomorrow. As always, wishing you the best of best. Take care.